Welcome everyone to MC Rapology's podcast. Now, this podcast is on the Star Trek Picard series. Now, you either love this show or you hate this show or you've still got mixed feelings about the show. Now, if you like me, I've got mixed feelings. I think there are a number of points that they needed to really look at with this season 1 of the show, and I'm going to explain the things that really let the fans down. Now, this podcast is about Star Trek Picard, but more specifically, it's about the things that really let the show down. Now, had they left these points I'm about to list out of the show, it would have been one hell of a dope show, but they made a few mistakes. And some of these mistakes are just completely unforgivable to true Star Trek fans. Now, the show wasn't all that bad. It's just that they really stuffed up with some of the things that they did in the show. Some really bad decisions in the storytelling that really let it down. Now, the introduction of new characters like Soji and Raffi, that was awesome, and a lot of the show was awesome. But then for the really, really strong story-driven plots that they had in the show, they put some really, really stupid things in that treat the Star Trek fans like they're idiots, and they're not idiots. They're highly intelligent people. Now, I like how the show explored, Picard's fractured relationship with the Romulans and, decisions he made in the past and how they had played out over the years. So the show, it had a lot of strong points, but it also had some real silly concepts. I quite like the concept with the ancient androids called the Admonition being, an existential threat to the universe. Well, I think that was a bit of a far-fetched. To have them as an existential threat to the universe was a bit far-fetched. I think it really should have been that story plot confined to the Milky Way galaxy. I think that was a mistake, and it's something that I really feel that they that could have been narrowed down to the Milky Way galaxy. The threat that the ancient androids posed was not a threat to the universe. I feel that by this Star Trek series making them a threat to the universe, it really, really was a far stretch considering the incredible size of the universe. Now, the first thing I didn't like was the fact that they had a digital construct of the afterlife. I thought this was incredibly stupid. There is no probability of something like this being possible within the realms of, possibilities and probabilities. We have to look at, what makes sci-fi great, and I think it's things that could be plausible. But when you start throwing in things that make it a fairy tale and a fantasy, then you're really detracting from what the fans want and what makes things great. Now, you treated fans so ridiculously with the story by making it seem like a single positronic neuron had been stolen from B4 by Bruce Maddox, and somehow he fled to the planet Coppelius, and with that single positronic neuron, they were basically able to clone Data's essence. Data was still alive. This is just ridiculous. From a single positronic neuron, come on. Data is dead. There was no survival of Data for a digital afterlife. Come on. This is a far stretch, and you're trying to make Star Trek fans believe this one. There's been some incredibly implausible things happening in Star Trek over, its entire span, but to get us to buy this one, I think this is the strongest point that really needed to be looked at. Please don't do anything like this in season 2. It was a joke. All right. the way you tried to get us to make it look like, somehow Data, his essence was saved, and the person that he was retrieved from a single positronic neuron. Come on. We are not idiots. We are educated people, and we know that this is completely impossible. So, I didn't like that they did that. Kind of put a sour taste in my mouth for the rest of the series, like the season, once that came into play. And then, like I said, like the synthetics, I didn't mind that concept of the synthetics being the biggest threat, to humanity and biological life forms. That was all right. Didn't mind the serialized storytelling. Look, I do like the episodic storytelling. And I think it was, serialization for a story is fitting for something like Picard. So I think another mistake that they made with this show was killing off Icheb, who, is a Star Trek Voyager character. Icheb was also, once part of the Borg collective. And, he was basically killed off so they could harvest his parts, his Borg parts and components. And I mean, bad idea killing off legacy characters. They also killed off Hugh, who was one of the big legacy characters in Star Trek The Next Generation. But look, it was interesting seeing how far Hugh had come from seeing him in Star Trek The Next Generation series. And I always used to think, even when that episode first came out, I used to sit back and think, well, I wonder if they'll ever explore Hugh's future stories and, like show his progression. And they did, which, it kind of fulfilled, something that I, often thought about as a child. So, there was fulfillment there in giving me a story on, the progression of Hugh and showing that character and how far he came. But then you kill him off. You kill off a legacy character. Not the way to go. That got a big no-no from me. Look, Icheb, I didn't mind. Look, that I could handle you killing off. But you writers, when you killed off Hugh, that was a hard one. That was a bit of pill to swallow, I'm sorry. And I think a lot of Star Trek fans started getting annoyed when you started doing things like that. Seeing Seven of Nine come back in the show was awesome. And even that wasn't enough to kind of counter the god-awful feelings that, I had towards the writers who killed off Hugh. Wasn't happy. Not happy, Jan. Now, the biggest thing that I pin on this show that I did not like and will not like and makes it very hard for me to reconcile with the show now is that you made Picard a golem in the end. How the hell did you manage to do that? You managed to single-handedly piss everyone off. All the fans, all your loyal fan base. Yes, you writers, you pissed off a lot of Star Trek fans by making Picard a golem. You should have just killed him off. Oh, it was a terrible idea. Now, I don't know what to say. Look, rest in peace, Huey. He was I still remember when he was rescued by the Enterprise D crew, when he was cut off from the collective. They could have used Hugh to destroy the rest of the Borg collective with the virus, and then Picard called a moral decision not to sacrifice Hugh, to give him a chance to change and, become an individual. And it really, there was a good moral story behind that episode that dealt with Hugh and the chance the Enterprise D crew had in bringing down the collective and the decision they made because they didn't want to sacrifice Hugh. They wanted to give him a fighting chance. And then, Picard comes along, the new Picard series, and then it seems that anyone is expendable, and Hugh certainly was. So I wasn't happy with that. Sure, a lot of fans weren't happy with that, but come on, that golem thing with Picard. Picard is now a golem. Gee. Bad taste in the mouth of Star Trek fans. yes, it's going to take us a long time to get over that one. Will we ever get over it? I don't know. I don't think so. I've seen some pretty bad Star Trek episodes in my time, and some storylines and concepts. This concept is just very hard to deal with. I don't know. How are they going to really reconcile themselves? How the writers going to reconcile themselves in season 2? I don't know. It's going to be a hard one to win back the fans. You've got to do something because they're thoroughly pissed off. And I read all the forums every day, and the whole Golem thing is a big, big, bloody no-no. It shouldn't have been incorporated into the series. Look, could potentially jeopardize how long Picard runs for now, because you'll get a huge turn-off in season 2 now, because, you know, people are going to be looking at Picard and they're like, shit, he's a golem. To be honest, you should have brought back Hugh for the end of season 1, not made Picard a golem, kept Hugh alive, and if you were going to kill him off, you should have saved it for, you know, the end of the series. Icheb, you shouldn't have killed him off. Should have killed one of the new characters off. You know, I don't know. What can I say? These are the mistakes that I could see, and the whole single positronic neuron thing. We are not idiots. Please do not treat the fans like idiots. Star Trek fans are not idiots. Anyway. What do you guys think? Let me know. I'm a little disgruntled at Star Trek Picard, but, you know, there's a lot of positive things in it, but just those few negative points that I've, you know, managed to talk about. Let me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, please, whatever you do, subscribe. Thank you. Peace.